What's this guy, Old Sword, doing now? He's got another fixed blade on the table? Hey, sorry you flipper fans. No, you can't flip this, but you can do some fancy tricks with it anyway. Let me tell you. This is one of the neatest, smaller knives in the fixed blades that I have run across recently. And it is a Williams design from the Williams Blade Design Company, a father-son venture with James and Chris Williams. And they are doing some neat stuff, both in their own company and designs for Columbia River Knife and Tool, which I'll bring out in a moment. Got a few of those. But let's get started. This is the Osoraku Zukuri Mini Kaiken. And this is a fixed blade you can carry, whether you are carrying it in the sheath, on your belt, in your pocket in the sheath, or perhaps even from your neck. It is a roughly 3.5 inch, 3.66 to be exact, fixed blade knife in the Osoraku style, which is a very highly penetrating style, almost armor piercing style, because it goes between plates of armor from the Japanese tradition from the feudal period and beyond. This is a design specifically by Chris Williams, and you can see it is the OZM001. It was recently out and introduced at the Atlanta Blade Show in 2022, back in June. And it is a fabulous fixed blade for a small knife. One of the first things you're going to say is it doesn't have a guard, so I'm not interested. There are videos out there of James Williams punching this style of knife through car door style sheet metal without any problem. His response to people that say no guard is, you're not holding it right. And the handles on these styles of knives are notoriously shorter than traditional fixed blade knives. As well, we have a cut-in grooves in the micarta handle that are sharp enough. When I say sharp, I mean grippy enough so that your hand doesn't slide. It has a oval sort of cross-section, which additionally fits beautifully into the hand. I have medium-large hands. It fits my hand perfectly for a knife that's going to take up almost no room in my pocket or on my belt. This is made by Lion Steel, from Sleipner Steel, which is a significant variant from D2. So it's a 50-50 stain resistance on this. You do need to maintain it a little bit, as you would any fine firearm, particularly those with blued barrels and slides, but certainly not high carbon. They did an interesting thing here with raising one screw, and Christopher Williams describes this in a video from the Blade Show. You see how, first of all, it's a encased or hidden tang. So the tang goes up to at least that mark there. I don't get a magnetic signature here, but you begin to get one right out to there. You can feel it. So we know there's a tang in there. Two clamshell halves to the handle. What looks like the blade sticking through there is simply a lighter portion of the micarta. As we know, this style of canvas or linen micarta tends to have light spots and dark spots. And this is in a gray-black sort of micarta. But look at the definitive differential there between the straight and the very gradual curve that is very indicative of the Osoraku style blade. We have a swedge on the top that reduces friction on the penetration, and yet we have considerable thickness for a fine pointed knife right out to the tip. And you can look up the Sleipner steel by Lion Steel. It's used in a good many of their folders and other ones. It is much tougher even than D2. Holds an edge about the same as D2, but is considerably tougher due to the introduction of other elements into the steel composition. I don't know those offhand, but I do recommend knife steel compositions for a good way to learn about each of the steels and get a good comparison. I was beginning to tell you that that screw sticks up much like the little escutcheon, which I forget the name of, and those of you that collect Japanese type swords and knives will know the name of that, but it generally protrudes through the wrapping. The grooves here emulate the cord wrap, but what this tells you when you're holding it in your right hand is that you have the knife in this position and not in this position or this position necessarily, or maybe you do know it's in that position. It indicates the left side of the knife at any rate. So it's going to be more obvious in the right hand than in the left. It just lets you know that you're in the edge out, point up position. Okay, I can get into a lot more about this knife, and we're going to get into some comparisons, but let's do some quick measurements. The overall length is, we're going to call it 7.65. We have, I would call it a 3.75, not a 3.66. Maybe the edge is 3.66, but it's a 3.75 to the handle of that blade. In millimeters, since we're already in millimeters, let's get the thickness. It should be 4 millimeters is what they're saying it is. I'm getting 3.8. In inches, 0.15. And at the broadest point, the handle is 0.57. That's not bad for a fixed blade, and you don't want to go too thin because you want something to grip on such a small knife, and yes, without a guard. How about the weight? Let's zero this guy out. Not a heavy knife. 3.5 ounces, 3.5, we'll call it 3.5. What am I doing? 3.57, it keeps moving. 3.57 ounces. That is very comfortable to carry. The sheath is done exquisitely well. It is from a fairly thick Kydex. They did everything right here. You have a belt loop where you can wear this horizontally on the belt in a scout carry. You can, so snap off one, pull the dot type of deal. And I don't have it loosened enough where I can swivel it, but you can swivel it up here and basically do an inside the pants type carry with that strap, similar to many holsters. Now, it locks in extremely well, and they have given you a great provision here for thumbing off the sheath. It goes flying, but at the same time, it is a good amount of sheath that is holding onto that handle. It's just the right tension, and again, if you were to carry that in your front pocket, you'd have no trouble whatsoever thumbing that sheath off, leaving the sheath in the pocket. Let's do a compare. with some other Williams design knives. Here is kind of the big brother to this, even though there are even bigger ones. That is a James Williams designed HZ6, all right, which stands for Hira Zukuri, all right. So this is another similar Osoraku style blade, but without the double grind. And it may have its own particular name, but it is known as the HZ6 Hira Zukuri, Columbia River knife and tool, designed by James Williams. Much larger knife, and of course heavier. And you are having a different handle style here, which he also offers on some of the James Williams designed Kaikens. Very, very grippy. I had to actually take down some of the corners here because it was so sharp. But another one you're not going to slide on. And he didn't raise the screw on this one, but that's okay. That is a big guy. Here is a folder in the same style. And this is the Otanashi no Ken, which stands for Silent Sword. And this is also an Osoraku style penetrating point blade. You can see that it does have the two facets there on the blade edge. It's considerably larger than even this fixed blade, particularly in the handle, since we've got to take care of the blade inside the handle. And this one is a frame lock from Columbia River. Blade fits in there almost completely. Finally, a little guy, which was the first of this style, and an assisted opener from Columbia River. This is the Hi-Ho. And again, there you have the same style blade. I'm not sure they still make this one. They might. Also very small, and you know, the handle roughly the same size as the fixed blade. So when we say Kaiken, that's also equivalent to kwaiken, but I'm told that Kaiken is the preferred terminology, at least according to Williams blade design. But look at this. If you're just talking about fit and finish, you have a really gorgeous, done by Lion Steel, brushed satin finish on the flat, and an opposing satin finish on the blade grind, and a swedge that's fitted in there perfectly with a flat even on the spine, and the flat itself is satin finished. I'm confident with this knife. This I would carry every day as both a working knife, and it does come through more than reasonably sharp. Okay, demo time. See what I can do. See how badly I can mess up this cutting test. First of all, easy on the penetration. And all I did with this out of the box was give it a little bit of stropping, and it has an excellent edge. And that's not bad for an edge which shouldn't be slicey, because the grind only goes about halfway up. It is a flat grind, and this is a flat grind as well. How about we compare it to something different from another company? This is a Fred Perrin designed knife by Spyderco. There's your Street Beat. And that's the smaller version of the Street Bowie. And that is yet even smaller than the Mini Kaiken by close to an inch. Still, we have about the same blade length. We just got a shorter handle. And that handle completely disappears in my hand. And still one of my favorites. The Street Beat is an excellent, excellent design. And for those that want a stop for the finger, there it is. All you need to do is cut that finger groove in there and you have an excellent stop. And real quick, if we were to compare it to, say, the Griptilian, just for size, we can see that the Griptilian's actually overall a tiny bit larger. And blade, about the same. But you've got all the advantages of a fixed blade knife here, something that is immediately available, don't need to open it, and no danger of folding at the wrong time. So if you prefer fixed blades and you like front pocket carry, or even if you like belt carry, or even if you want to arrange this with a cord on the neck, you can do that. There's your drainage hole, as all Kydex sheaths should have. That both allows air in so that you're not keeping moisture against the blade, but it also lets fluids drain out. And I'll leave that to your imagination as to what those fluids might be. Excellent strap here. This is a synthetic strap with fiber inside. You've seen them before, but it ain't going to break. And that one-way snap is extremely good and efficient for keeping it closed and either on your belt or inside the waistband. I hope you enjoyed this and that you consider small fixed blade knives. I know many of you are telling me that you do carry them, so that's a cool thing. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I'll be back with you soon.